Hey everyone, Scott Sambucci here. So I wanted to share with you 12 ideas for the holiday season. So as we're coming up towards the end of the year, there's a lot of reasons why we might feel like things need to slow down or you feel like things are slowing down. And so I want to give you a little push with some ideas that you can use over the next couple of weeks, finishing out this year and moving into next year so that you can continue to build your business and do all the things that you need to do next year. And so why is this important? Why do we want to spend this time during the holiday season continuing to grow and build? Well, the first reason is that we want to keep momentum. If you've been working on your work, on your company, on your sales throughout the last couple of months or the last year, you might have finally gotten some momentum building. And here it is at the end of the year, and you're feeling like, oh no, this is the worst time for the holiday season because I'm finally getting some customers in the pipeline. I'm finally getting a contract out. I'm finally getting people that I've been talking with. I'm finally getting the message right. I'm starting to feel like I'm hitting some product market fit. Whatever that is, now you've got some momentum going, and you want to keep that momentum going. So some of the ideas here will help you maintain that momentum, and so that when the new year rolls around, you'll be able to dive right in back into the flow that you found right now. The second reason this is important is that you want to build momentum. So in a lot of cases, maybe it's hit the end of the year and you feel like maybe like, oh, finally the holidays. I've got a line of demarcation where I can finish up the work that I've been doing and maybe start the new year fresh. And so these ideas will help you do that if you're feeling like, man, if I could just, scrap everything that I've done and start all over, or just take a couple of key nuggets of information that I've learned over the last months or the last year and use that as a baseline to start over in a sense for next year, then these ideas, at least a couple of them, will help you start building that momentum for next year. And if you've been successful and you're continuing that process and you're feeling like, man, I've got good momentum, then you want to increase that momentum. You want to take what you've done and build upon it and do even more. So the third thing we want to do is the third reason this is important is that you just want to get really, really clear. So, if you're like me, the holidays hit and, whether it's the food or the weather or the travel or whatever it is, you kind of end up in this little zone of fuzziness in your brain. And, it's okay. You want to rest, you want to relax, and you want to shut down a little bit. What's really tough though is you come out of that holidays and that first Monday after the new year, or that first day back in the office, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, here we go, 2000 whatever the next year is ahead, 2016, 2017. Every year I go through this, and it's really important that if you start thinking about these ideas now and start implementing them now, what you'll get is a lot of clarity. You'll be really, really clear about what exactly you need to do starting day one of the next year so that you know where to work, how to work, what you're focusing on, what your customers need, what to build, what to sell, whatever that is. So those are the reasons that and why this is important, that we want to think about some really good ideas to either keep momentum, build momentum, and get clarity around what you're working on from your sales process. Okay, so here we go. Ready? We're at the starting line. We're going to go through these 12 ideas. I'm going to go somewhat quickly. I am also going to try to do my best to explain some of these and give you some really good tangible examples as we go. So here is number one. So the first one and the first couple of these are extremely tactical because I think it's really important that we remember that there's a lot of good ideas that we've done in the past this year, and we want to maybe go back to some of those ideas. And the first one that I always recommend to people is doing your buyer analysis worksheet. And so this is basically just a view of your sales pipeline. So you're going individually, sales by sale, sale by sale, opportunity by opportunity, and you're looking for your 4 buyer types and asking yourself, okay, in my individual sales opportunity, each and every one, do I know who the economic buyer is and what's the last time or the last date that I've been in touch with that person? Who is the technical buyer? Who are my user buyers? And who is my product champion? And you want to use this as an opportunity to see if there are any gaps or trends emerging from your sales opportunities. Maybe you've got a lot of user buyers and product champions in your list, but over the last couple months, your sales opportunities have started to grow, but you've lost sight of who the technical buyers might be or the economic buyers at your sales opportunities. So just going back and refreshing yourself, if you've done this exercise in the past and you haven't done it in the last couple of weeks or the last couple of months, this is a really good exercise to do with both yourself if you're a startup CEO, do it with your team. Bring in a product manager, bring in an engineer, bring in your salesperson or your sales team, and have everyone look at this buyer analysis worksheet, because it will help you understand what you've learned and who's involved with your sales situations. And it will also give you some clarity as to where you want to be spending time, either this year, at the end of the year, getting in touch with some of the folks that you haven't talked to recently, or going into next year, figuring out who are going to be your key targets, your key contacts that you're going to have to start talking to hit the ground running for next year. So very tactical. Go back, find the buyer analysis worksheet here in Startup Selling, and fill it out if you haven't done it recently. Number two, go back to your current customers and ask them this question: how do we expand? How do we expand the relationship? So there's a really good article that I have posted in the past on the Facebook group and within the Startup Selling program. And the article is by Jason Lemkin, and he's really an all-star investor. He started a couple companies and had a ton of success. And the idea behind this question of how do we expand is going back to your current customers and saying, look, we are doing $10,000 a year with you in this pilot program, or we've been up and running now for a couple months. It looks like you've been successful investing that money with us, and you're getting that 10x return that you expected or that we promised you. So let's look ahead to next year, and let me ask you: if we're doing $10,000 a year with you now, what would it take for us to be a $100,000 a year partner for you? What would it take to be $1 million partner for you? And so what this will do is yield a couple things. Is one, you might find that simply adding a few features to your product would be the difference between a $10,000 and a $100,000 client. That client or that customer will be telling you specifically what product features are important to them. And if you do this across multiple customers, even if you only have a couple, even if you have 2 or 3 customers right now as a startup, you might see some similarities that all 2 or 3 customers are asking you for this one feature. And then you can go back to your product roadmap, go back to your product team or your engineering team and say, man, this feature we had in a roadmap for down the road, but we've got these 2 customers who think it's really important now. And if we add those, we're going to increase revenue. So it's an opportunity for you to not only expand on the revenue side, it will help you to figure out exactly where you might be spending time on the right features in your product roadmap. And then ultimately, of course, from a revenue standpoint, it's great if you can then go back to that customer and say, great, we're doing $10,000 a month with you, or $10,000 a year with you now. We did that last year. Next year, you're telling me to get to $100,000, we have to have these 3 features, or we need to build out a certain part of our platform. Look, that sounds great. We're not going to have that for you in the first quarter or even the first half of the year. It's really, really clear, though, in our engineering roadmap that we will have that for you by September of next year. So over the next 9 months, we're going to be building towards those exact levels of expansion in our product, in our platform. So you can definitely expect from me by the end of the year, by the end of next year, we can be that $100,000 partner with you. And so that gives you a reason to go back to that customer throughout the course of the year, not just checking in with them and saying, like, how's everything going? Are you happy? Is everything working well? But you can keep that customer informed, and you can ask them how their priorities are changing, and making sure that the adjustments that you're making to the product are still in line with what they need throughout the course of the year. So it's a really good, strong way to build a partnership with your early customers by asking them, how do we expand, and really understand exactly what features and how you need to expand the product. So go back to those early customers that you have, even if they're pilot customers, and ask them, how do we expand the relationship? Or when this pilot goes really well, how do we expand from the pilot directly into having you as a large-scale customer of ours? So that's the second piece. So just like with the buyer analysis worksheet, this is very tactical, going back to your current customers and asking them that question: how do we expand? The third idea, and I got this from one of our members, and he's been doing this over the last couple of weeks, and sending an email to your open opportunities. These are people that may have gone, this idea of going dark on you, or people that have kind of, you've hit a little bit of a roadblock. Maybe you had a couple of really good early conversations with somebody, or maybe you met them at a conference back in the fall, in October or something like that, and you had a really good feeling about where this relationship could go. All of a sudden, things have kind of stalled, and so you're sitting there like, oh man, now it's like we had this early momentum, or I had a couple of good leads coming out of this conference, or I had these good introductions from a few advisors or investors or something like that, and these things are kind of going stale on me, or they're stalling out on me. And now you're feeling like, oh, the holidays, this is terrible, because I really, maybe they're going dark because it's the holidays, and now they won't remember me in January, and you're kind of sitting there like, what do we do? And so this idea of sending a where do we stand email, it's really, really simple. Here's what you do. And I've seen the template that one of our members have set out, and I love this. And I've had salespeople do this to me as well, with opportunities where I've been interested in their software and I've kind of gone kind of dead or dark on them. And they'll send me an email and basically says, hey, Scott, really glad we had a chance to meet this year. So that I can understand where we stand in a relationship, could you let me know if you are A, definitely interested in moving forward and that we should set up a call before the end of the year? B, yes, I'm interested in moving forward. The timing is not right. Please contact me in January. Or C, who are you? Why are you contacting me? Or C, maybe C is like, you know what, this is not a good fit. Keep me posted with long-term developments in your company or your product, right? So you're basically saying like, look, help me understand where we stand in this relationship. Like, I don't want to be one of those people that keeps emailing you, keeps bombing you, calling you back twice a week, or sending you emails every week, and you're just deleting them or ignoring them, and you're kind of like, I wish this guy would go away. On the other hand, some people are just really busy, right? Everybody's busy. And so I've always appreciated when people ask me this question, like, where do we stand? Like, help me understand. Is there urgency right now this year that we should have a call now? Or that, yeah, I'm interested. It's just I'm really busy and the timing's not right. Call me in a month or two. Or, it's just not a good fit. So take the time to go through, and this is where the buyer analysis worksheet can be a good baseline, because you're going through a sales opportunity and figure out like, oh man, we got a couple of these deals, 5 or 6 of these that are kind of stalled. Or I've got a couple of contacts, I've got some leads that haven't even turned into opportunities yet, and I'm trying to figure out if they are sales opportunities. And so you can ask them this question, like, where do we stand? Like, hey, John, really good to meet you at the conference back in October. Glad we had a chance to meet. Listen, since we met for coffee after the conference, we haven't had a chance to chat very much, or haven't had a chance to catch up with you. Could you just let me know if we are A, you're definitely interested that we should set up a time this year, B, you're definitely interested, contact you next year, or C, this is just not a good fit, or the timing's bad, or something like that. So go back through, and what you're doing is just vetting out your sales pipeline to see if there are both on the pipeline side, if these opportunities are just dead opportunities and you're kind of hoping, you're sitting there hoping without good information that they might convert somehow and these people have gone dark, or the leads that you have that have not yet turned into opportunities, it's a chance for you to kind of vet out where you should be spending your time over the next couple of weeks to the end of this year, and where you should be hitting the ground running on the first meeting or the first day from work after the new year. So that's the idea here. Number 3, send a where do we stand email. Number 4 is also related to this in a way where vet out what I would call your top 25 contacts. So the 25 contacts they should come from a number of different places, a couple of different sources. So one, these contacts are going to be current customers. So if you've got current customers you haven't talked to for whatever reason in the last couple of weeks, so maybe they're early pilot customers that you got up and running back in October or November, and you just haven't had a chance to sit down because you've been busy with other stuff, whether you've been working with investors or you've been trying to hire people or you're trying to work other sales opportunities. Just include those, first of all, your current customers, and say, okay, these are my most important sponsors for my project, whether it's the economic buyer or a key executive, a key project sponsor. So that could be one source. Another source would be people in your pipeline. So again, going back in your pipeline, looking for key people that you have not had a chance to talk with. That could be another place to find these top 25 contacts. And the other place you can find your contacts, the place that I like to do, like to look at, is my sent in my sent inbox. So a lot of times what I'll do is go through Gmail and I'll just look for all of the people that I have emailed over the course of the year. And it does take a little bit of time, but especially if you start all the way back in January at the beginning of the year, and you're doing like a quick scan here, right? And you're looking for people that you're like, oh man, I sent that email to the guy and he never got back to me. Or I was referred to, maybe search in your inbox for introductions that were made to you from investors or advisors. Maybe these people, especially early in the year when the product wasn't ready, or you didn't even have an alpha version, right? And so maybe somebody that was introduced to you back in March or April, where you had like a really short conversation and they said, you know what, the time's not right. It sounds like your product's not built yet. Let me know when you guys have built stuff out. Now here it is at the end of the year. Maybe you've just simply forgotten about that person. Like March or April, if it's December, that feels like years ago to me. So go back and look for these people that maybe you're introduced to and say like, oh man, like these 3 or 4 were really, really, really strong introductions, maybe potential customers or people that could refer me to potential customers, and go back and add those to your top 25. And then another place I like to look is my stack of business cards. So whenever I go to a conference or some kind of event, I always, you're collecting business cards, and I don't really do much with them. Of course, I mean, I'll put them into my CRM. I'll be emailing people so that I've got those contacts electronically. I often still keep the business cards, or I'll take an Evernote picture, put them in Evernote, and I've just kind of got these stacks of business cards from different events that I've been to. And so what's really useful is that if you take out that stack of cards and just kind of flip through them like a playing card deck and go, okay, let me just prioritize these people as like a C list is interesting conversation at the conference, no help to me, not related to my business at all. B list might be people that could eventually at some point be useful, or maybe it was somebody that just completely never got back to you, couldn't even have a second conversation after the conference. And then the A leads are maybe people that you did have a couple of early conversations after you met them. Maybe you had a coffee and things went dead, or you met them and they said, this sounds really interesting. It sounds like your product's not ready. Make sure you get back to me. So what you're doing, you're just covering all your bases. You're going through your current customers. You're going through your current pipeline. You're going through people that you've been introduced to electronically through investors, advisors, friends, referrals, whoever, and people that you've personally met. And you just want to go through those top 25 contacts and send them a quick note like, hey, listen, Mary, I'm really glad. I don't know if you remember, we met back in March and John introduced us. It's coming up to the end of the year. We've had so many great things happening over the last few months. Could we schedule it? I would love to schedule a time, or we should schedule a time for early next year because I want to catch you up on where we are. A couple of the product features that you specifically asked for are now in production, right? So you're kind of whetting that person's appetite a little bit. And so what you're doing is you're kind of like building out an early prospecting list for next year of customers so that you are really clear of where you should be spending your time as soon as January hits. You don't want to be sitting there in January thinking like, oh, I have no one to call. Wouldn't it be awesome if the very first week of January or the first 2 weeks of January, you already had 5 or 6 sales appointments booked, conversations with people that already knew who you were, that were already introduced to you, people that you've already met, people that already know about your product, know who you are, know what your service does, that were already excited? Wouldn't it be great to start the year with those people instead of starting people totally raw, like inbound leads or going out and doing cold calling? Like this is the kind of effect that you can have by going back to these top 25 contacts and prioritizing. So that's the idea here, is just making sure that those 25 most important people to you across all parts of your business, your current customers, in your pipeline, and then potential pipeline opportunities, are people that you've made touch with, and you've got an opportunity to have that next contact, whether it's a meeting, a phone call, a coffee, whatever it is. Okay, that's number 4. So number 5. Do your 2016 planning. And so I've come across this really great, and I've shared this a couple times, this really great blog post by a guy named David Cummings. And here's the URL address for his blog post. And then you can see he published this just at the end of November. And use 2016 as a planning time, or use this time for your 2016 planning. So if you have a couple of down days, so if you look at the calendar and you realize like, man, there's a couple of days in the week before the Christmas holiday or before the New Year's holiday where people may not be in the office, but I'm going to be working and things are going to be quiet. Maybe some folks in your team are taking time off, or you're giving them time off, whatever that is. Well, use that quiet time and do some planning for yourself. And some of the really nice thing about this this post, and actually what I'm going to do is flip over to it really quick because I think it's that good. I just want to show it to you because I want to make sure that you see it. So here we go. So you can see here's the email, planning for 2016, and he's got some really great links here. So doing a simplified one-page strategic plan, figuring out what your KPIs, your key indicators are, and do you have a dashboard for those weekly KPIs? And then reviewing, if you're a SaaS company, what are your metrics that you're looking for? And then the 4th thing is making sure that your team and your company has 3 to 5 SMART goals. So SMART goals is a goal setting process, making sure that, let's just take a quick look at this. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, and time related. So again, this idea of getting clarity, hitting the ground running, making sure that not just on the sales side that you've got clarity about who to talk to and what you want to sell and how much you want to sell it for, making sure that the other people in your organization that can affect sales, whether it's product development or engineering or somebody else that can really help you achieve those goals, you want to make sure that those sales goals, you want to make sure that they have alignment as well towards those sales goals. So the other thing that he suggests is sending out a weekly email to your team. And if you're not already doing this, this is a great way to start thinking about that for 2016. And so if you kind of dig through his blog post, he's got this really great template that includes exactly what should go into a weekly email to your team in terms of an introduction, updates on sales goals, updates on marketing goals, what the KPIs are and how you're performing on those KPIs, what the next month looks like, what are the annual and quarterly goals. So this idea of boiling down all of this information that you're doing with 2016 and updating your team on a weekly basis. And so as part of your 2016 planning, it's a really good habit to get into. So I personally have just started doing this myself for our company here at Sales Qualia. And it was so enormously valuable to do that very first email, because when I realized it's like, oh man, there's a bunch of different tracking opportunities that I have in terms of identifying where my leads are coming from and who I should be following through with and where I should be spending my time. And are we hitting our revenue targets? Are we hitting our product development targets? And so just use this time for 2016 planning if you haven't done it, because it's really, really easy to kind of like race to the finish line of this year and say, oh, finally, all right, finally I get a break. Holiday season is over, and you've been like pushing, and you're doing engineering sprints and product sprints and trying to call that last customer or trying to get those last investor meetings. And then you have this break, and you're like, oh, good, got a break. And then January rolls around and you're thinking, oh man, like what exactly are we doing this year? You might have it in your mind in different places, but it's not really crystal clear for you and your team. And so just getting clarity on that by doing that 2016 planning now. And you don't have to spend tons and tons of time on this. Just spend a couple of hours getting clear and make sure your team is clear. And I think you'll find it really, really useful. So it's another way that you can spend some time over this holiday season. Okay, number 6. So this one is, you might consider this to be a little bit crazy, and I'm still debating whether or not to do it myself. I'm leaning towards doing it. Just so you know, I'm definitely leaning towards doing it. So this idea of blow up your email. And what do we mean by blow up your email? So if you go into your email inbox, I'm sure you have hundreds, if not thousands of messages that are just sitting there in your inbox, right? And if they were important, you probably would have acted upon those. And this is a little bit of the inbox zero concept, if you've heard about this before. So the idea that you want to clear out your inbox every day so that you always have 0 messages in your inbox. And so use this time of year maybe to blow up your email and just go through and the most recent emails, maybe the last couple of days or over the last week, get those down to 0 so that the only emails you have left in your inbox are emails that are a week old or older. And then click the select all and then archive. And that's it. So you will start 2016 with a clear inbox. I know it sounds crazy. Email is such a distraction for all of us. No matter how diligent you are with your email, it becomes so distracting to us that if you just start the new year with an inbox 0, then it may help to lift some of the dust and some of the clutter that you have inside of your daily work environment. And so even better, right? Don't just delete your email or don't just archive your email. The second thing I would do, and this is the second thing I'm thinking about doing, is I found this application called Mind My Mail. So if you're using Gmail, and I think it works with Outlook, you have to check it out, but it's like $5. And for $5, what you do is you link your Gmail account or your email account, and Mind My Mail will go and find all of the people that you have ever emailed. And so this is a list for me, right? So it gives you the email address, the display name, their first name, last name, what city they're in if it's available, region, country. It shows you how many emails you've had with that person, the first time you emailed the person, and the last time you've been in touch with that person. And so you can use this as a way to pull out, say, any people that have been last seen, say, more than a month ago. And you can create a list and export this. So the list exports into a CSV file. You can open up in Excel, as you can see. And you could take all of those names as a big list, even if it's 1,000 people, 2,000 people. And this is something else also I'm considering doing. I haven't done it yet, but I'm strongly considering doing it, is creating this MailChimp list. So putting this list into MailChimp, sending one email to everyone. And the subject line is, I am archiving up my email, or I am blowing up my email, something that will catch their attention. And then the message that I'm going to send to people, again, I'm strongly considering doing this. I'm not saying that I've done it yet, but I'm strongly considering it, is sending an email to everyone and say, listen, everybody, I'm starting 2016 with 0 inbox. If you have emailed me over the past year and I owe you a response, please reply to this message. And that's it, right? So something really, really simple. So what is this going to do for you? Think about it. So this will shake the trees. So maybe there are some people that you haven't emailed or contacted since April, right? And now they're like, "Oh man, I that's right. I met with Scott back in April and I'm really glad that he got in touch with me because you know what? My business has changed over the last 8 months. Now I need that startup selling program. I'm to the point where I'm ready for this program." And so it's a way for me to not have to go find people, but for people to self-identify and say, "Oh man, yeah, I'm really glad that you emailed me. Yes, let's please talk." So it's a way to shake loose the trees. And if people don't get back to you, then that's okay, right? Because you would have forgotten about them anyway. They've been buried in your inbox or buried in your sent messages and they never replied. So blowing up your email will, one, reduce the clutter that you have on a daily basis. Two, it could very well shake the trees loose with new opportunities or people that you talked with earlier in the year, people didn't realize that were waiting to hear back from you or hoping to hear back from you or wanted to hear back from you and simply forgot because it was earlier in the year. It's a chance for you and them to reconnect. So that's number 6. So let's take a break right here. We're going to pick up with a second half to do number 7 through 12 for the 12 ideas for the holiday season. You can see I love this stuff. It's really, I think there's some really good opportunities here to use this time really wisely. And so these first 6 have been pretty tactical and around the sales, really focused on the sales side. The next few you'll see are related to doing some research, doing some marketing, and doing some other things related to building out other parts of your sales funnel. So check out part 2. Thanks for listening. Scott Sambucci here with Startup Selling, and look forward to hearing you on the other side.